Okay, I'm back, got fresh on the scene, franchise.
Have you ever heard the term, don't poop where you eat? Well, you guys, this applies to your job. If you're going to work, let it be all about work. And I'm not here to try to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what does not work out well in the end. And that is when it comes to office romance. You guys, keep it professional when you're going to work. If you gotta have a romance, I'm pretty sure there's more than enough people out there outside of work. Because the second fireworks start flying, it's going to make you look bad. It's going to make the individuals involved look bad. And at the end of the day, it could be the demise of your career. So take heed. I hope this video helps someone out there.
Hey y'all, what's good? Welcome back to Real Talk with novablaze and soulsurge, where we dive deep into the issues that nobody wants to talk about, but everybody definitely needs to hear. Today we're tackling a heavy topic, something that happens way too often but doesn't get attention it deserves. We're talking about why married people have entanglements at work. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's real life.
And that's right, Nova. And this ain't just about the tea. It's about understanding what's going on behind the scenes, what drives someone to step outside their marriage, especially at work, and more importantly, what are the risks and consequences when things go too far. We breaking it all down today. And before we get into our segment, y'all, shout out to Nova's sister for giving us this topic to discuss. She ended up bringing up this situation at Nova's former job, and it was currently a situation just based on this topic. So, definitely shout out to her for that one. But we're going to go ahead and get into it, y'all.
All right, y'all. Let's start with the basics, okay? When you're spending 40 plus hours a week in the same place with someone, things can get a little too comfortable. You're with your coworkers more than you with your own spouse, and that's where the trouble begins.
Yeah, for sure, man. Exactly. And you think about it, y'all. I mean, y'all sharing the same air. Y'all dealing with the same stresses. And then next thing you know, you're sharing more than just work stories. It's easy to let those professional boundaries slip when you're around someone all the time, especially if there's chemistry. People forget that work ain't just about a paycheck, well, at least for some of us, but it's also a breeding ground to make connections with people, and a lot of those experiences can be both good and bad.
And that's how it all starts. Innocent conversations during lunch, staying late to finish a project together, maybe grabbing a drink after work. It seems harmless until it's not. The more time you spend with someone, the easier things get to shift from personal to professional.
All right, and that is definitely how it starts, Nova. And you gotta factor in. I really say two big factors. You got the emotional part of it, and then you got the psychological part. Because depending on like how your work setting is, it can be stressful as hell. For some, it could be a lot easier. But sometimes your coworkers, they understand what you're going through better than your spouse at home because they're around you, with more time. So that connection can be dangerous because it definitely feels good to be understood and validated.
Right. But when your partner at home might be dealing with their own stuff, or maybe y'all are communicating like you used to, it's easy to start leaning on someone at work who seems to get you. That emotional support can turn into something definitely deeper if you're not careful. It's like finding an emotional band-aid, but just realizing you're putting it over a whole bigger wound.
And it's like once that connection is made, it can be hard to pull back. What starts as a shoulder to lean on could quickly turn into a shoulder to cry on. And then before you know it, it could be a shoulder that you're getting a little too close. You know stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
And that emotional bond, it strengthens. And Just like what I was about to reiterate, before you know it, you caught up in something that was never supposed to happen.
Now, let's keep it real. Real marriages can sometimes get stale. The routine of life, the daily grind, it can wear you down.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, along sometimes, stuff comes in between somebody at work, or you feel like this person's exciting, different. That sense of novelty can be intoxicating.
Man, oh for sure. And it feels like a rush, like an adrenaline rush. It's
Yeah.
something fresh. It's something different. Um, and you're not just drawn to the person, but it's the way
More
that they
like
make you feel.
yeah.
That excitement can be addicting. It makes you have a reason to want to come to work every day, right? Especially if things at home are feeling a little too predictable. It's like, oh, here we go again. We're going through the same routine. Got to get the kids up. We got to do this. Got to do that. But that newness, it doesn't last. It don't. And chasing it, it could definitely lead you down a dangerous path.
Yeah. It's a classic case of the grass look greener on the other side. But what you don't realize is that the water bill over there is high as hell. That excitement might be thrilling in the moment, but it's definitely temporary fix. That comes with a whole lot of consequences.
Now, let's talk about opportunity and temptation. The workplace can set up all kinds of situations where boundaries can get crossed, like from business trips, late night meetings, happy hours. These are prime opportunities for things to go sideways, especially if you have an overnight job. That's that on demon time at all times.
Yeah. Like that clip we saw on the Find Your Match with the stud, and she said, "Oh, my hours is 3 to 11. That's all day and night."
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't even want that girl that wanted them hours. So she's like, "Oh, ain't no telling what you're gonna be doing while I'm at work." Stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
But you're away from home. The lines between professional and personal is definitely a blur. And suddenly you're faced with temptation that's hard to resist. It's one thing to have a harmless, flirtation in the office, but it's a whole other thing when you're out of town. That's a whole different thing. Staying in the same hotel or maybe having too many drinks.
And let's be real. Now, some folks are out here looking for their temptation. And they're just not falling into these situations by accident. It don't happen overnight. The opportunity presents itself and they make a choice. But here's the thing now. Every choice comes with those consequences.
And speaking of consequences, a lot of these entanglements starts because of a unresolved issue at home, lack of communication, and unresolved conflicts, or just feeling unfulfilled in the marriage can push people to look what's missing elsewhere.
And it's not just for marriages. It can be at any point in your relationship, right? And that's the real issue right there. Instead of facing what's wrong in your relationship, some folks, they take the easy way out, right? They find the comfort with someone else instead of doing the hard work at home. You got to think about it. Just like time changes, people change too, and that includes your partner. So you can't always think that you got that same partner from when you first got married. Just like the time changes, your partner does too. So why not find that comfort at home? And why don't you do it like putting on a band-aid on a bullet wound, right? And it might cover things up for a minute, but the real problem is still there, especially if you don't talk about it. And all it's going to do is just fester underneath.
Yeah. And when you don't address those issues head on, you're definitely setting yourself up for a disaster. The entanglement might feel good in the moment, but it's only adding more problems to the ones you already got.
So let's break down the risk of these entanglements because trust, there are plenty. Now, first off, there are professional repercussions, right? You get caught up in a workplace affair, You could lose your job. You can damage your reputation. You can strain your relationship with your colleagues, with your managers, or any leaders that you may look up to.
Facts. And then there's the marital consequences. If your spouse finds out, it could definitely end your marriage. Even if it doesn't lead to a divorce, the trust is definitely broken. And that's the hardest thing to rebuild. The emotional fallout is real hurt, anger, guilt. It's a heavy piece to pay for something that started off with a little flirtation at work. It's not worth it.
And don't forget the mental and emotional toll. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, you're going to be around that person every day and, keeping those secrets, living with that guilt every day, just worrying about getting caught. That's a lot of stress to deal with. I mean, especially if you have children involved. It can mess with your head. It can lead to things like anxiety, depression, and even those physical health problems. You might be in the hospital, might have something in your body that you wasn't supposed to have.
And plus, it's not just you and your spouse who gets hurt. These entanglements can damage other relationships too, friendships, professional partnerships, even your relationship with your kids if it all blows up.
Yeah, that's facts. Cause I think, man, your kids go to school with those parents' kids. If that's by chance. So yeah,
Start fight with the kids.
Yeah, so that's when the lines definitely get crossed. But the bottom line of it is, the risk far outweighs any temporary thrill or emotional connection you might find in the office fling. It's just not worth it.
So, what's the takeaway here, y'all? If you're finding yourself tempted by someone at work, it's time to just take a step back and look at what's really going on in your marriage. Maybe there's something missing, something that needs to be fixed. You just would never know.
Right. And addressing those underlying issues with your partner, communicate and go to counseling. I mean, there's several options. Or at least do whatever it takes to get things back on track. And just don't go look for solutions outside of your marriage. I mean, now, even though counseling would be one of those things, but you may need that mediator that knows how to talk to both of y'all without it causing like conflict or an argument, if it's just y'all two talking, right? So if you do that, all that's going to do is just add fuel to the fire.
And remember, at the end of the day, the excitement of an entanglement might feel good in the moment, but it's fleeting. The consequences, though, they're long lasting. Protect your marriage, protect your peace, and make difference of what you live with.
And that's it, fam. I mean, if you're married or in a relationship, keep it that way. Don't let the little office flirtation ruin what you've built. Stay strong, stay smart, and stay committed.
Now, thanks for tuning in to Real Talk with novablaze and soulsurge. We hope today's episode give you something to definitely think about, whether it's yourself, a friend, or someone you might be caught up with in work entanglement.
Yes, and share this with somebody who needs to hear it, or somebody that you know is in that situation. Because trust, man, there are a lot of folks out here playing with fire, and they don't realize how close they are to getting burned. So be careful.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay locked into for more real talk. We got you covered in all the topics that definitely matter. Well, until next time, stay real, stay focused, and keep it 100.
All right, y'all. We out. And tune in for the next episode. Peace.